Friday's edition of Morning Ride here on Delta Television. And of course, I've got Chizzy Awuno here with me. It's time now for us to bring you our newspaper headlines. And we've got the Punch, New Telegraph, the Daily Sun, Vanguard, Daily Trust, and the Guardian. We kick off with the Punch newspaper, and the lead here says, State Police closer as NAS defines federal state powers. State Police closer as National Assembly defines federal state powers. We have the rider, Landmark Bill passes crucial second reading in Senate. And the second rider, reps move to replace PSC with Federal Police Service Commission. Xenophobia. South Africa repatriates 586 Nigerians. You can get details of that story on page 4 of the Punch newspaper. Federal government panel uncovers prison feeding scam, pushes 3,000 naira allowance. Federal government panel uncovers prison feeding scam, pushes 3,000 naira allowance. And we have a photo speak here of the president flanked by the left Ekiti State Governor Biodun Oyebanji and the Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele. Tinubu confers national honor on ex-Punch MD Osunubi, Babatope orders. Tinubu confers national honors on ex-Punch MD Osunubi, Babatope orders. Southwest governors playing politics with security, and it's a statement credited to ex-DMI chief Togun. We move now to the top strip of the Punch newspaper. Democracy Day address. Terror financiers will pay dearly, says Tinubu. Celebrating transformational leadership, reform, and impact in basic education. His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria. You can get details of that on page 20 of the Punch newspaper. And those are the headlines on the Punch.
All right, with me here, I have the New Telegraph newspaper. And first, the big headline here, Democracy Day, which is today, 12 June 2026. Ensure peaceful polls in Ekiti, Osun. Tinubu urges INEC security agencies, and there are writers to that story. The New Telegraph newspaper is next, and first, our big headline here says, ensure peaceful polls in Ekiti, Osun. Tinubu urges INEC security agency, and there are riders to that story, but our next story on the top strip says, unfulfilled promises, strike threats, looms as health workers mount pressure on Joheso. And the rider there says salary injustice fueling anger. This is by the union. Another story still on the top strip says we live like fugitives. The harrowing return of 268 Nigerians from South Africa, and that's on page 29 of the New Telegraph newspaper. This one here, Asaba plane incidents. NIMS recovers black boxes, launches probe. This is on the New Telegraph newspaper. And at the bottom here, we have this one that says DSS military foil attempts to kidnap WAEC candidates in Southeast security sources. This is by security sources. At the corner here, we have this one that says 210 trillion naira probe. Senate voids Kyari, arrest warrants, rebukes Oshomole. And that's on page 2 and page 7. Another story here says Nigeria steps up fight against child labor. That's on page 26 and 28. Still at the bottom, this one here says Constitution Review, House of Reps passes State Police Bill. And that's on page 3 and 7 of the New Telegraph newspaper. And the editorial says social media use tied to depression risk in adolescents as a study. Okay, these and many more you can get on the New Telegraph newspaper. Do grab yourself a copy.
The next daily we have for you is the Daily Sun, and the major headline: Tinubu to terrorists, surrender or die. The writers expresses pain at the abduction of school children in Oyo, Borno. Says, criticize me, disagree with me, but never stop believing in Nigeria. Interesting. Xenophobia. Tinubu vows to protect Nigerians abroad as federal government receives 258 from South Africa. Warri Federal Constituency. Ijo Ishekiri. Yoruba leaders meet Tinubu, agree to end protests. You can get details of that on page 25 of the Daily Sun. Senate disowns supposed arrest warrant on ex-NNPCL GCEO Knox Oshomole. Rider extends 2025 budget implementation to September. Reps approve state police bill. Rider bill scales second reading in Senate. Insecurity. PFN rejects repentant terrorist policy. And lastly, from the Daily Sun. June 12, Atiku, Obi, NBA tax Nigerians on democracy. We've got two riders. There must be renewed civic duty. This is coming from the government. Nigeria must strengthen institutions to consolidate democracy. A statement coming from lawyers.
All right, the Vanguard newspaper is next, and the first headline here: Xenophobia. FG evacuees slam South Africa over documentation claims. The case of xenophobia is such a sad situation. At the top strip here, we have this one that says Ijo Ishekiri, Urobo leaders meet Tinubu, agree to end protest. That's on page 9. Still at the top, Tinubu honors top journalists, generals, orders for roles in struggle. This is on Democracy Day. At the bottom here, this one says, state police reps pass bills, scales second reading in Senate. Still at the bottom, Davido protests Oyo schoolgirls kidnapping at World Cup concert. That's on page 44. I saw that video there, and he had the names of all the children that had been kidnapped in Oyo State on his suit. It was such a beautiful thing to see there, and it just shows that he has the people at heart. Another story here, another story says, we gave Obi Kwankwaso free hand to pick candidates. This is by Dixon, and you can find out on page 46. This one here, sports, Mexico days South Africa in World Cup opener. Canada, Bosnian trade tackles today. And okay, of course we have the Mr. and Mrs. Corner there, so do grab yourself a copy of the Vanguard newspaper for all of the stories.
Moving out to the Daily Trust newspaper. State police nears reality amid debates. Celebrating transformational leadership, reform, and impact in basic education. And the rest of the Daily Trust is on what you can call scorecard of the Yobe State Governor, May Malam Buni, and those are the headlines from the Daily Trust.
Okay, we move on now to The Guardian, which is the last paper that we'll be having today. And the big headline here says, a thriving democracy still in search of trust, credible polls, dividends. And at just at the bottom of it, Max Air grounded nationwide as handlers enforce debt sanction. And that's on page 46, sorry. And another story here says 5 terrorists bag 150-year jail term, forfeit assets to FG. Should have just said life imprisonment instead of 150 years.
You never can tell.
Some people actually live forever, I guess. Okay, at the top strip here, this one says state police, governors to bear more responsibility as National Assembly passes bill. And this is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Another story here says Tinubu hails 27 years of democracy, honors June 12 heroes amid concerns over governance. And that's on page 6. Another one here says Army confirms Cameroonian troops incursion in Sea River, and that's on page 9. Okay, we have this one, government of Benue State, Happy Democracy Day, Mr. President. I would have loved to read that, but it looks long, so just grab yourself a copy. And lastly, celebrating transformation, leadership, reforms, and impact in basic education, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Okay, that's all we can get on the Guardian newspaper. Do grab yourself a copy for better insight on the stories. And we'll get back to the studio.
Come back to the studio now.
Oh my God.
So she's a Happy Democracy Day.
Oh, Gaga, Happy Democracy Day as well.
Yeah,
Happy
so,
Democracy.
It's 27 years of uninterrupted democracy in Nigeria,
And education.
And the president has released his speech, and one of the strong wordings there concerning insecurity that we took on the headline. First of all, we are seeing that the bill to pass state police has been that state police be established has been passed in the House of Representatives and all of that. And now we saw the president talking tough on the Daily Sun. The lead there says, Tinubu to terrorists, surrender or die. And he expresses pain at the abduction of school children in Oyo, Borno. And he also took the headline from Vanguard, Davido protesting Oyo school kidnappings at World Cup. With all that is happening, do you think that, and also, just like the last, the headline from The Guardian, you took 5 terrorists bag 150-year jail term, forfeit assets to federal government. So, with all that's happening, in as much as Nigerians want to be happy and celebrate that it's June 12, 27 years of uninterrupted democracy, there are still more that the people clamor for, especially when you consider the insecurity in the country. And I think it's a good one that the House of Reps, they have passed the bill to establish state police, and the Senate, I think, it has passed through the second reading and all of that. So it's a process that Nigerians are looking that will be expedited with all that is happening.
Yeah.
But generally, the New Telegraph says democracy they ensure peaceful polls in Ekiti, Osun. Tinubu urges INEC security agencies. And when we talk about the democracy, we still ask that are we truly practicing democracy? Because a couple of days ago, I saw the claims that the Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke made that his party, because of course he left the PDP and come to the Accord Party,
Yeah.
chairman of some certain local governments or chairman of the party was arrested, and he claims that these were thugs put together by the APC. Of course, a minister serving in the APC, and I think one of the candidates, aspirants for governorship position and all of that. So if we still see these things, and recently remember that most parties, they just finished conducting their primaries, and we saw what happened despite the transparency, as it were, the form of voting and all of that, but we still saw irregularities in the counting. So even within parties, there is still much to be desired as it concerns internal democracy in Nigeria, parties, now let alone the party, the country in entirety. And we're looking forward to 2027 elections, and there have also been claims that INEC is also trying to make registration difficult because the registration comes to an end. It will run till next month, July. And the allegations that INEC is making the process difficult and all of that. So when you put all that is plaguing the country together, do you think that it has been a smooth ride when it comes to democracy? Do you think that we are having the best of democracies?
Well, for me, genuinely, Ogaga, I would say that things have not really been rosy. But as far as I'm concerned, I can't even remember any time in my adulthood that things were rosy in Nigeria. Well, we keep striving to get better, right? And doing better at what we ought to do. So now the primaries have, come and gone. And of course, we'll have people who are disgruntled, people who are not comfortable with how things went. But 2027 is around the corner, the main election. We're giving INEC the benefit of doubt. We are still hopeful because I think that's where we have found ourselves in Nigeria at the moment, keeping up the hope and just hoping that things get better. So we are still hoping that INEC will do better, and then these irregularities that we or that persons complained about during the primaries will not repeat itself. Everything that they have to do, I guess, is now that all loose end has to be tied, all knots have to be tightened, and that's for that. So we are really hoping, and then for the voters card as well. Yes, I've heard about the difficulties that persons are facing, but there's also intentionality on the part of people. If you are craving for a better Nigeria, if you are craving for better leaders, you just have to keep trying, because sometimes there's a tendency to want to get frustrated and say, you know what, they've even already, decided on who their leaders will be. But then if you want to put it that way, then you don't have any right to complain of bad leadership because you were not even involved in the selection in the first place. So that's for that. And then for the kidnap victims, Ogaga, I just want to say that it's such a bad situation that we found ourselves in Nigeria. And guess what? The case of the Oyo kidnap was brought to the limelight, and that's what we knew. And then I think like a week later, some persons from Ekiti also came out to say that persons from Ekiti have been held in captivity for weeks. I think at that time it was 32 days. So it turns out that that kidnap was even done before the Oyo State. And then it was also sad to hear the people say that they have paid ransom, yet the victims have not been released. I think we can't get it right. we can't get it right, and it's okay. There's no country that doesn't have its problems. But you see, security, it's not something that we should be complaining about in 2026. And I truly hope that we get it right. I truly hope we get it right, because one person's life should mean a lot in a democracy and to a government. And then the performance yesterday with Davido and Shakira, I have to say it was an amazing performance. Yes, that's the
World Cup.
World Cup.
Opening.
I want to say that it was a power-packed performance. And Shakira before now came out to say that she has been yearning to do a collaboration with Davido and with Burna Boy. Sorry, not Davido, Burna Boy. And I just want to say that that's a big win for Nigeria, because I know that there was a time in this country where Nigerians were clamoring to have foreigners feature in their songs, and sometimes it will prove difficult. But now you have these big stars that we all listen to when we're growing up, coming to Nigeria, or also clamoring to want to do a collaboration with our Nigerian artists. So yes, kudos, that's a big one there. So you can see that we're not totally getting it wrong in our country. We're also doing well as individuals. And then this one too on the New Telegraph newspaper also just drew me and sort of made me sad. It says, we lived like fugitives, the harrowing return of 268 Nigerians from South Africa. This also beckons on our government to try to make the country habitable. Because trust me, Ogaga, the reason why people are leaving the country is not because they want to leave. It's because they are craving for greener pastures. It's because they want a better situation for their kids. They are trying to secure their children's future. Now, if Nigeria was good, Nigeria is interesting.
Yeah.
Nigeria is a fun place to be in. And then there was also a time where we had foreigners coming in and out of Nigeria, and they will tell you that Nigeria is interesting to live in. Nigerian people are good people. But now we even have the foreigners running back to their country and Nigerians running out of the country. It would amaze you to know that a lot of Nigerians who are abroad are not finding it easy. It's not funny for them. Life is not funny. They are having cases of racism. They are having cases of not being treated fairly because of their color. Now, tell me, if Nigeria was so good, would they have any reason to want to travel outside the country for greener pastures? Whatever is outside the country is achievable in Nigeria. All we just need is the right government to do it.
Yeah.
That's all for me.
Yeah, talking about that, the xenophobic attacks
Yeah.
in South Africa, of course, a couple of Nigerians have returned home, and this time it was federal government sponsored.
Yes.
Unlike before, when Air Peace will just embark on these voluntarily as CSR, but this time the federal government sponsored all of that. I think it was some 2-3 days ago, I was listening to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bianca Ojukwu, and she was talking about that there is also the option of the retaliatory option, because if South Africa, and she criticized the South African government that they've not done enough, they've not taken responsibility, because there are situations where Nigerians and by extension other Africans are harassed, the police will be around and nothing is really done. I think I was listening to the head of I think the Igbo community in South Africa, and was saying that about 2 Nigerians have been killed, yet South Africa denies it and all of that. So it's so terrible that and Bianca Ojukwu, she was talking about the sacrifice that Nigeria paid, has made, how they contributed to South Africa's independence, and also during the apartheid period, and what Nigeria did. And it's so sad to see that Nigerians are being treated this way. I think she even called it Afrophobia. It's not just xenophobia now, because it's as though there is this, they don't just want other Africans, and they are claiming
around
that
them
Africans are taking their jobs. So it's so sad. And really want to see the actions. Now, it's a good step that Nigerians have been repatriated, they've been brought back home. But another thing is, what will they make of their lives now?
What next?
Imagine people that had businesses everywhere in South Africa. Now you return back.
Where do they begin
even
from?
Nigerians already have established businesses in the country right now because of the economy. A couple of them are struggling.
True.
So imagine somebody coming back to nothing. Where would they start from? So these are the things that the federal government has made the first step, bringing them back home, taking care of the bills and all of that. But I think they also need to set them up and find a way around them as it concerns their finances and all of that. Even as we round off, I'd like to just take an excerpt from the President's Democracy Day speech regarding the Oyo kidnapping. He talked about this year's mood is dampened by the abduction of our children in Oyo and Borno.
Yeah.
We remain hopeful for their safe return. Democracy without security is not solid enough. End of quote. And that has to do with security. And you talked about making the country conducive.
Yes, habitable.
So that Nigerians will not be considering what we call in our local parlance, jackpot,
Yes.
that they will stay in the country. He said, we have moved from training with our allies, the United States, France, and other European countries to precision targeting. In Arege, Borno State, we degraded ISWAP's command center. Terror-related deaths are now down by 81% since 2015. Over 13,000 terrorists have been neutralized in the past year, but we also keep the door of surrender open. Over 124,000 fighters and dependents have laid down their arms since 2023 through Operation Safe Corridor. Now, this is one argument that Nigerians have had. They are saying that, are you in support of these repentant terrorists, like rehabilitating them and welcoming them back?
Is that safe?
Do you think it's a welcome development? It's something that it's still ongoing, but what's your take on that?
Honestly, I don't know if that will be safe. But if persons are repentant, who are we to say they are not repentant?
There are people. There's a man, I can't recall the state. I was watching him. He was talking about a man that killed. He was a terrorist, a bandit that killed his father. That he's now driving around their community with cars.
It's crazy.
And that even a couple of them, they are paid when they repent. They are paid. So meanwhile, people that are victims, there's no commensurate compensation. Meanwhile, the so-called bandits that perpetrated these crimes are paid and rehabilitated, given funds to start up and all of that.
Well, Ogaga, I just want to say briefly that if this is the route that they choose to take, we should also remember that there are also prisoners who are also repentant.
Okay.
And there are also persons in the prison who are waiting to be judged, but they haven't. There are also persons in the prison who are there and they did not commit the crime. I saw a film recently that mirrored what a typical prison looks like, and it is just the truth. A lot of persons who are in prison actually didn't commit the crime, but because they didn't have, somebody very good to, help them legally, they're in prison. So yes, while we want to say, okay, we can't judge anyone who is willing to change, also, let's also remember those in the prison who have gone through rehabilitation for a number of years and are actually changed.
All right. So lastly, I was talking about the young people, and in the president's speech, he addressed the young people. He said, to the young people, Nigeria is your home and your future. Build here, code here, work here, and vote here. Every great nation was built by those who stayed to solve problems, not by those who abandoned ship. He also commended the armed forces, police, and intelligence services, saying Nigeria salutes their sacrifice. Commended traditional rulers, faith leaders, and community heads. He said, thank you for your support of peace and reconciliation. The government cannot do it alone. And also, he paid tributes to patriots who endured persecution, imprisonment, exile, and even death so that future generations could enjoy democracy. I salute labor leaders, journalists, activists, students, women professionals, political leaders, and soldiers, both those who have passed and those still with us for their patriotic contributions. End of quotes.
Okay, there was a protest. I don't know if you're aware of the protest that just started with VDM and some
Yes, that was like
Nigerians,
some 2 days ago in
and
Abuja, the Air Force base.
yes,
Air
yes,
Force
and
base.
then I think that I saw another video yesterday. I don't know if that protest was done yesterday, where now the citizens were here and the police personnel were on the other side. I don't know. I didn't see tear gas, but I saw the citizens threatening the police that if they, throw any tear gas at them, started insulting cursing their families
The
and their
police, the family of
children.
the police.
No, the citizens were cursing the families of the police. I'm just trying to tell them that this fight is everybody's fight. If you throw tear gas at us, this will happen to your children, and this will. It just got me thinking. I almost even feel that the hands of a lot of security personnel are tied. It's not like they don't know the right thing to do. It's not like they're not clamoring for the same thing that we are clamoring for. But maybe a lot of them are just working on instruction. And this just brings me to say that we also see the work that our security personnel they are putting in. It's just like doctors, how patients will complain that Nigerian doctors are not doing their best. Trust me, Ogaga, a lot of Nigerian medical personnel want to put in their best, but the wherewithal, the things that are needed to aid them to put in their best are not there. The management won't do proper provision, and then equipment are not there as well. It's just like asking a military man to go to the forest to fight with the bandits, and then it turns out that the weapons that the bandits have are more sophisticated, more upgraded than what the security personnel will be holding. So I just want to say that this is June 12th, Democracy Day. We see the effort that our security personnel they are putting in. We also know that they have families. We also know that they are coming out every day is also risking their lives. We've had a lot of fallen heroes. We also have to, put that in mind. We see the work that you put in, but trust me, we expect more. And then I also want to just chip in that security is a thing for me and you. It's not a one-man thing. So if you see something out there, please say something. It would also help our, security personnel to do a bigger work or a better work. And then state policing too. I think that's a welcome development. I think it will also help.
All right, and thank you so much. This is where we get to draw the curtains on today's morning ride. Cheesy, before we go.
Happy Democracy Day. I'm Cheesy Awuno. Good morning.
You took the words right out of my mouth. All right, thank you so much for being a part of Friday's edition of the morning ride. It is I, Ogaga Ikama, thanking you so much for your time and wishing you a happy Democracy Day.